Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar series. Today we will be having a presentation regarding the Diploma of Science. So first of all, welcome to Deakin College, and thanks for being here with us today. We do have some housekeeping just before we do get started though. Some of our marketing staff are on as panelists today. So if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, you can have those answered by either tapping the Q&A section on the menu, or you can write them directly in the chat. If our staff are able to answer them at the time, they will. Some questions we may leave until the end because we do have an open question and answer session. So we will be able to answer those live for you. But I won't hold you up any longer. I will pass over to Tamara, who will be taking today's session. Tamara is the academic coordinator for the Diploma of Science. Thanks, Tamara.
Thanks, Danielle. Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. As Danielle said, my name is Tamara Camilleri and I'm the academic coordinator for the Diploma of Science. Today we'll be going through a number of topics in regards to the diploma. So we're going to look at the diploma in general, what online teaching is like at Deakin College, some units that you'll be enrolling into, recommendations for unit selection, so some units you should be doing, some frequently asked questions, and then as Danielle mentioned, an open discussion question time at the end. So the Diploma of Science offers a quality pathway into a supportive student-centred learning environment, which allows students to communicate science in an effective manner. And there's lots of ways that you'll learn how to do this through writing skills, teamwork, or oral presentations. This diploma allows you to work on your critical thinking skills and how to be an active practitioner in the field of science. And what's really good about the Diploma of Science is that you get to go into lots of areas that may interest you, such as science in general, biomedical science, forensic science, environmental science, and animal science and zoology. So the diploma itself can lead into many bachelor degrees at Deakin University. The first couple here that are listed are the Bachelor of Science, which has a number of majors that you'll choose when you transition over to Deakin University. We've got the Bachelor of Forensic Science as well with 2 majors, and the Bachelor of Zoology and Animal Science. Then we've got the Bachelor of Biomedical Science with a few majors that you may like to choose when you move over. The Bachelor of Environmental Science with Management and Sustainability and Wildlife and Conservation Biology as the 2 main pathways. So the course duration can vary. We do recommend the 12-month normal track, which is 3 units in your first trimester, 3 in your second, and 2 in your third. But you can choose to fast track if you like, which is 8 months. So you do your first 4 units in your first trimester and 4 units in your second trimester. Students must choose a minimum of 4 units per trimester. To be considered a full-time student, students must enroll in a minimum of 3 credit points or 3 units per trimester as well. So in order to transition over to Deakin University once you finish at Deakin College, you must satisfy 2 criteria. One is have 8 credit points, and you get 1 credit point per unit that you complete. And the other one is the weighted average mark, which is a mark you receive at the end of your diploma, depending on what mark you get from your units. So if you get 60 for 1 mark and 60 for 1 unit and 50 for another, your WAM will be 55. So it's an average of all your units. Most pathways only require a WAM of 50, except for biomed. So domestic students must achieve a WAM of 70 in order to go into Burwood, the Burwood campus, and 60 in order to go into the Warm Ponds campus for biomed. International students only need to achieve 50 for all pathways. So basically, if the WAM and the credit points aren't met, you can't go into Deakin University through Deakin College. And there's lots of transfer sessions into Deakin University as well, so lots of questions can be answered if you have them. The wonderful thing about science is that you can go into a lot of different areas depending on where your interests lie. Anything from research to quality control, environmental and natural resources, teaching, information technology, pharmaceutical production. There's a whole range of things out there that you can do if you choose to go through science. It is a very varied and diverse area to go into. So look into the areas that interest you, and you can definitely do it because it's science. So you might have heard that Deakin College has moved online. We have, and looks like we'll be staying online for T3 as well. And this is basically what it's going to look like learning online through Deakin College. So in order to access your classes, you go through the student portal, and there's a few tiles that you can select, and one of them is Moodle. And Moodle is where everything about all your units are housed. All the information you need to know about your units and how to access your classes as well. So if you click on the Moodle tile, you have a whole bunch of other tiles that are your units. So these are very typical units that you would see at Deakin College through the Diploma of Science. And then if you click on one of those units, you'll have a whole bunch of sections with weekly information and topics, your resources, how to access your practicals and assessments and what have you. In one of these sections, you will have Zoom links. So just onto the next slide, Danny. Sorry, my dog's running around behind me. You'll have a whole bunch of Zoom links. Now, you'll only be able to access it if you're in that particular class. So being a Geelong student, you'll be in classes 30, 31 maybe, and that's the class that you'll be carried into when you click your Zoom link, and then you'll be able to meet all your classmates and your teachers as well. So Deakin College does provide a massive support network to its students. So there's a lot of support from teachers. So you can organise drop-in Zoom sessions with your teachers to go through any material that you might find difficult and ask any questions. There's support from the academic learning advisors as well. So they help you gain the fundamental skills you need in order to be successful at tertiary education. And then you've got support from student learning advisors as well. And we've got what's called a PALM mentor, which are students that have done your unit previously, and they can help you with little tips and tricks on how to pick up certain topics that you might find difficult, or some assessments that you might find challenging. So there's lots of different types of assessments in the Diploma of Science. They're all uploaded on Moodle, and the teachers are there to help you develop the skills you need in order to complete them successfully. So please, if you have any questions for them, please ask them. There's usually a minimum of 3 different types of assessments per unit. They can be essays or online quizzes, case studies, oral presentations, or exams. And our exams will be conducted online for T3 as well. So the units for the diploma, there's a whole bunch. We have some health-based units, a whole bunch of science-based units, some IT mathematical units, and some 0 credit point units listed on the bottom there, the lab safety and fieldwork induction, and the academic integrity units, which are 0 credit point but are mandatory to complete. So I'm just going to go through some recommended units that you'll be enrolling into for the T3 intake. So one unit that's pretty common across all pathways is SLE 111 cells and genes. So cells and genes looks at the life of the planet on a very molecular level. It looks at some genetics, and some cellular work as well. So there's some practical exercises, a couple of assignments, and a couple of tests, including an examination for this particular unit. The next one is SLE 133, Chemistry in Our World. So this is really basic chemistry. There are weekly quizzes, some laboratory exercises, some active tutorial participation, and an exam associated with this unit. And this unit goes through very, very basic Year 12 chemistry and builds on top of that as well. So for the pathway into biomedical science, you would do the aforementioned 2 units that we just covered, as well as SLE 115, Essential Skills in Bioscience. So this unit provides a really good understanding of how to analyse journal articles, how to write, how to reference, a bit of statistics, all the basic skills you would need in order to be successful in the field of bioscience as well. So I've got a few assessment tasks, mid-trimester test and a final examination associated with this unit, and a group assignment as well. So into the pathway of science and forensic science. So we have the cells and genes unit that we mentioned before and the chemistry in our world. Along with this, we would have SIT 191, Introduction to Statistics and Data Analysis. So this unit goes through some basic statistics work, very, very important, especially in the science and forensics field, because you're looking at a lot of ballistics, for example, and a lot of handling with a lot of data in that field. So it gives you a really good understanding of what you need and the skills you need in order to be successful in this particular field. So there's a few quizzes, there's an examination, there's some problem solving tasks associated with it. And then into the environmental science, and zoology and animal science. You would have a combination of the cells and genes and chemistry in our world, as well as SLE 102 physical geography. So this particular unit looks at Earth system science. It looks at the hydrosphere, geosphere, atmosphere, and how it all kind of interrelates and connects to one another. So there's a few practical tests, there's a couple of class tests and an assignment associated with this particular unit. And that's it for the different types of pathways. So a lot of students that come through might have a number of questions, and these are the frequently asked questions that may help alleviate any concerns that you have. Do you need to purchase, or how do you purchase a textbook? Most textbooks for science are available as an ebook, which means you can purchase it online, or you can borrow it electronically from the Deakin Library. You can purchase it as a hard copy if you wish, but this is a really easy workaround for you. Are the classes recorded? Yes, they are recorded, and then the recordings are posted on the Moodle, which I talked about earlier, the following week, but this doesn't mean you get to miss out or skip class. Really important to attend those classes in order to ask questions or what have you from your teachers. Any specialised programs or equipment? You do definitely need the Microsoft Office suite and Adobe Acrobat. You definitely need those. For the statistics unit, you will need SPSS, which is a statistical analysis program, but your teacher and lecturer will tell you and teach you how to access that particular program. So don't worry too much about it right now. They'll take you through how to access that. What does the timetable look like? So normal classes are running between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's only going to be a maximum of 30 students in each class. So they're relatively small, and it allows for a lot more interaction between yourself and your teacher, which is good. Enrolment will open in early to mid-October. So if you have accepted your place, you'll receive an email on how to enroll. You can either enroll on your own, or you can attend an enrolment session, which I will go through with you, and some other staff members will go through and teach you and show you how to enroll. So what happens in your first class? So you receive or go onto Moodle and click on that Zoom link that we showed you earlier. You'll meet your classmates, you'll meet your teacher, and you'll learn which topics that will be covered in that unit and what your assessments are. So everything is outlined and outlaid for you in your first class. So that first class is really important to attend. What happens if you fail a unit? You can just repeat it the following trimester. I do provide course advice for any and every student. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And what's the structure of T3 or trimester 3? It looks like this. So it starts on the 26th of October, that's our week 1. We have a mid-trimester break between the 23rd of December until the 5th of January, and then the trimester ends on the 29th of January. You have then an exam week from the 1st of February until the 5th, and then you have a break between trimesters following that. And that's it. Are there any questions?
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tamara. There was a few questions that did come through just during the presentation, so we will get to those. If anyone does have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A section. You can ask your question anonymously if you prefer, or you can put it in the chat function to us and we'll be able to answer that as well. Just a couple of questions that did come through, Tamara. There was one in regards to class timing. So you mentioned that the timetable runs from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m, but how many hours are required for classes?
It's a very good question. So generally classes are run in a 2-hour block, and most units have 2 2-hour blocks. So those 2-hour blocks include your lecture and tutorial. And then some units have practicals on top of them as well. And it really depends on the unit. So for example, SLE 111, Cells and Genes, has 5 practicals throughout the trimester, and each prac runs for 3 hours. So some weeks you'll be doing just 4 hours for that unit, and other weeks you'll be doing 7 hours for that unit. That's online class time.
Amazing. We just had one more question come through, just in regards to lab sessions. So how experiments will be run and how lab practicals are run in an online environment?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So what we're offering is exactly what's happening at Deakin University. They're online practicals. So you attend a Zoom session. Sometimes you can watch a video or do an at-home experiment. And then you come back during the Zoom session and have a chat about your outcomes and the results from the particular experiment as well. So it's very supported, and they take you through step by step what you need to do.
Amazing. And this one might be a bit of a far reach for you, but can you advise which pathway a student can take if they're interested in becoming a vet?
That's a very good question and quite a stretch for me. You're probably better off addressing directly to Deakin University. They may be able to advise you which pathway is best. Yeah, they will be able to tell you what bachelor to do from the diploma and then where to go from there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can also just say from a Deakin University perspective that they don't offer a veterinary course. So if a student is looking to become an actual doctor for animals rather than a veterinary nurse, they do need to do an undergraduate degree and then apply for a postgrad in veterinary. It's not offered by Deakin University, so you almost need to work at the end game. So look at the universities that do offer that postgrad, and then from there see what the prerequisite is for that postgraduate course. A lot of the time it is a bachelor in science, but some universities may say that you need particular prerequisite subjects or areas or majors. So Tamara went through some of the majors that are available in Bachelor of Science, and perhaps some of them may be required as a pathway to the postgrad in veterinary. But unfortunately, the university doesn't offer that postgrad. So you may have to have a search for a university that does and then work backwards. Cool. So we'll just keep it open for a few more moments. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them through. You will receive a copy of this presentation as well as a link to the recording, so you can rewatch at any stage, just like you could rewatch your lectures and tutorials. And then if you do have any questions, you will have my contact to be able to do it. We have received one question which I can answer, is, does the Diploma of Science progress into the Bachelor of Nursing? The answer is no. So we don't actually have any of our diploma programs that lead into nursing. For international students, we do have our foundation. But if you are looking to get into nursing, it's best to speak directly with the university in regards to their preferred pathways for nursing. One for you, Tamara.
Yeah, it's a very good question. How many hours of study do you recommend? So both Deakin University and Deakin College do recommend a total of 10 hours per unit per week commitment. So that 10 hours can include in-class time, your practicals, pre-reading, working on assignments, revising, all of that kind of stuff. So if you've got only 4 hours per week for each unit as in-class time, then it would be an additional 6 hours on top of that for study as well. So it's something that you do need to put into consideration when you're looking at particular pathways and how many units you're wanting to enroll into.
Correct. I will also just mention too that Tamara talked about full-time load being 3 units. So if you are an international student looking to study full-time or an Australian student looking to study full-time, it is 3 units that is the requirement, and 4 units if you're looking to fast track to complete the course within 8 months. However, if you decide to enroll in 3 or 4 units and you decide that you have taken on too much, particularly even for international students, for our trimester 3, the Australian government has relaxed laws about full-time study. So even if you're not sure whether you wish to undertake online study, you can enroll, and in my opinion, it's better to enroll in 3 or 4, and then before census date, you can withdraw a unit without academic or financial penalty. Unfortunately, you can't withdraw from the whole entire course, but if you have taken on that little bit too much, you have got the ability then to be able to withdraw from a couple of units. Our census date is usually around week 4. So by week 4 into a 11-week trimester, you know exactly how you're going, how you're progressing, and also to whether you're coping. So you've always got Tamara, and we've got lots of support for you, but definitely that is one way, I guess, to approach your studies as well. Even if you do drop to 2 units, you can still do 3 and 3, and then from there you will still complete in the 1 year. We've got one question. That's okay. It's probably a bit personal, but that's okay. It's just in regards to living on one side of Victoria and being accepted into on-campus living, but your lease begins after the class start date. Tamara, would you like to answer that? I guess for T3 we're online, so
Yep.
yeah.
So yeah, all classes and everything are online. It's government regulations and for everyone's safety. So it wouldn't really matter at any stage for T3 at this stage when you would move to Geelong. When we do go back on campus, it will make a huge difference because travelling from the Mornington is going to be a heck of a drive for you. So it is smart to move, but at the moment everything is online.
Yeah, we have also confirmed, just for I guess Australian students too, but international students, we are aware that Australian embassies have just opened up in offshore countries, and that there are backlogs of 4 to 6 months for student visa applications. So if you have received an offer letter and accepted, we definitely recommend that you get your student visa application in as soon as possible. However, don't fret too much about it taking some time to be approved, because you can start your studies prior to your student visa being granted. And also too, we will commence our T1, so our trimester 1, our March intake, online as well. So even though classes may resume face-to-face again, we'll go into what's called a hybrid model. So we will have online classes as well as face-to-face classes, which means that if you are an Australian student living on one side of the state and you haven't been able to move yet, you will be able to continue that online presence. Or if you're an international student waiting for our borders to open or your student visa to be granted, you will be able to continue your studies. So we're well aware of the situation and the circumstances, and we will continue to deliver both options as soon as we can. Yeah, so please don't stress about, I guess, getting to Geelong or getting to Australia. You will have those options. We have a question from Abby, and this is definitely not off topic, Abby, but I'm going to give it to Tamara. How do we choose our timetables, and when will we choose all of our units?
So you'll be given a how to enroll guide. It will be emailed to you, and that's a step-by-step guide on how to enroll into your units. So you would do it through the student portal. We had a little screenshot of the student portal during the presentation. You would just choose the units that you're enrolling into for the present trimester. So for trimester 3, you're only choosing those particular units. And then the following trimesters, you would then select your second trimester units as well. Each pathway has core units. So these are the units you must complete in order to move into this particular bachelor. And some units have elective options as well. So you'll be given a course outline too. So the course outline explains which units you have to do and which units are electives for you as well.
Beautiful. And yeah, so as Tamara said, you'll select your units for each trimester. So you don't need to pick all 8 units up front, just the ones that you're enrolling in for that trimester. The ones that she has given on the presentation today are the 3 that she would recommend that you commence with, because they're generally, I don't want to say the easier ones, but some of them you need to study prior to other subjects, or they're perhaps the better ones to commence with. And then if you did want to study a 4th unit, you can also reach out to her for assistance, but she also will be taking the How to Enroll webinar as well. If you're looking for additional advice, you can also get it there as well. We've got one in regards to laptops once classes are back on campus. Would you like to talk about?
Yeah, so this is an up to you kind of situation. So if you feel comfortable writing your notes on a laptop, go for it. If you prefer to print out your notes and write them by hand, that's completely up to you as well. Some classes will give you time to work on assignments during class time, so it might be worth bringing a laptop to class if you have one available. It is an expectation that you do have one, because it just makes life a lot easier for you as well. So probably a good idea to bring one. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep.
There's just one here. Do you have to study all of the majors in the first year? So perhaps maybe a little bit about the course structure.
Yeah, so all the majors that you go into, you choose in your second year when you transfer over to Deakin University. So all the units that are available in the diploma are very general units. So they're not major specific. You start to go into your majors when you go into your second and third year at Deakin University.
Amazing. And then we've just got one that's, what if I get to the end of my diploma and I can't decide which major to choose?
It's a very good question. I think you would need to look at what area you want to go into, what field of science that you want to look at. So, and where your passions lie, and that will help you choose what major you want to go into. Just think about what you want to do for a career, I think is probably the easiest way to pick a major.
Beautiful. And I think too, the way that Deakin University structure their bachelor programs, it's okay if you're not 100% sure. Perhaps you like one area of science, but you're kind of intrigued by another. If you have a general interest of science, you're going to get a taste of different aspects of science before you really need to decide what area you progress into. So even for myself, I studied commerce and I had to do all different areas of commerce and had no idea what area I was going into. But because I got a taste of all the different areas, I knew I liked business, but I wasn't sure where to go from there. And science is exactly the same. You'll study different aspects of science and you'll get a feel for what you enjoy and what you're good at, because they're generally the same thing. And then from there, you'll be able to take your interest into your second and third year. The beauty about the Bachelor of Science too is that you can have the option of having double majors. So if you can't decide between two majors, you may be able to do them both.
And just further to that, I mean, science is so incredibly varied. You'll be learning about molecular science, chemistry, evolutionary science, geoscience, environmental science, physics, statistical analysis. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do. So I think you'll have a pretty good idea of what's going on towards the end of your diploma and what area that you really have a passion for.
Beautiful. We might just allow a couple more minutes in case there's any further questions. And if not, we'll be able to wrap it up there. Okay, so there's just one question. Just to clarify, in terms of units to select, you recommend the first two to everyone and then the one specific to the bachelor that you want to do. That's correct. That's what Tamara has explained today. So she has given you, I guess, the 3 starting units. If you do want to pick up a fourth, or you do want some clarification about what area you're going into, please feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to meet with you one-on-one to talk about your individual career or study pathway as well. Amazing. Well, we might wrap it up there. Thank you so. Oh, we've got one more. Here we go. What is recommended hours of work that won't have a negative turn on our studies? Okay, so we'll just say if you're an international student, the maximum you can work is 20 hours per week. And for local students, it's unlimited. I guess you can work as much as you like. That won't have a negative turn on your studies. I think it really comes down to the individual. So Tamara has given you the Deakin recommendation, which is 10 hours per unit per week. So that's 4 hours of class and 6 hours of homework. Your first week of studies might not require 6 hours, but definitely as you progress into second and third, particularly going towards the end of the trimester, you definitely will require that. So I would recommend that you at least can put away 10 hours per unit that you're enrolled in for your studies. What you do outside of that in terms of work, sport, extracurricular activities is completely fine, as long as you are allowing yourself that time to focus on your studies. Amazing. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Tamara, and thank you to everyone who participated today. You will receive a copy of the presentation and recording. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here for you anytime. Amazing. Thanks, everyone. Bye.